dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, cinco, seis. The best thing I watched this week is 2. No, I'm joking. Hi, and welcome to the best thing you watched this week. We've got Chris from Movies and Munchies and the crazy person over here, Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday. We are going to be doing our normal run through this week. We're going to be talking about literally the best things we watched, news, entertainment, and things that we're looking forward to next week. And as we get closer to the end of the year, we're getting up to those bigger titles. So I think we're going to have some very interesting things to talk about. And then we have a special thing that we're going to talk about. See if you can guess by me holding what this is. We're going to be talking about 2 of our favorite films. Would you like to let the viewers know what that is, Chris?
Yes, we are going to be discussing the beautiful, the awesome, the just brilliant Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and then the bizarrely, amazingly fun, wacky The Fifth Element.
Hey.
Hey.
So if you want to see where that takes us, in the podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. And then, obviously, just to let everybody know, we're still going to be releasing on Christmas Day our Die Hard special talk about whether it is a Christmas movie or whether it's not, whether it's just an action film. And not just any action film, but it's a film. And we'll discuss where it belongs in the special. But for now, we should get into talking about the best thing we watched. So, Chris, I know you had a busy week at court, but did you manage to catch some interesting things that you would put on the best thing you watched this week?
I did, yes. I did get a chance to watch just a couple of things. I've been still in jury duty, and so that has been just destroying my schedule for viewing. But, first off, I'll just go, and I don't think as many people liked the second go-round as the first go-round, but I liked it just as much, maybe even more. But Centaurworld season 2, and our animated foray into weird, and the continuation of Horse and Rider now trying to defeat the Nowhere King. When it opens up, Horse is now on a mission to gather an army from the Centaurworld side, so that they can then meet together, fight, and destroy. And I mean, it is, I had a lot of fun with it. You had mentioned to me that like they fully embrace the weird.
Oh yeah.
And totally. I mean, it's like, now, you know what? We know exactly what we're doing. We're just going to go for it. And after I've sat with it for a while, I mean, I do see how some of that randomness can hurt it a little bit, that it may lose a little bit of the cohesiveness, maybe a little bit of the focus that they had going forward. But still, there were moments within this, and a lot of moments, that I was laughing out loud or like sucked in so much. I mean, episode 2 of season 2, where they meet this fan club, basically, that's kind of like watching Centaurworld as a reality TV show.
Yeah. It took my brain a while to figure out what was happening.
Just the whole self-aware thing was so great. And I think what they're doing is, and I don't know when this portion was written and animated and stuff like that. Did they do it before the first season, and so they were just guessing that the popularity was going to be there?
I mean, I hope so. That would make it amazing, but still, like, if they managed to do it in that short amount of time, impressive.
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that you have all of these groups who are just totally fanboying out over certain characters, and poor Wamawink. Just nobody likes Wamawink. But yeah, I mean, I don't think the music, it's funny, like I say this is one of the best things I watched this week, and it was, and yet I list some negatives. But I mean, I don't think the songs hooked me as much as, or at least were as melodic.
I think there were too many as well per episode. It felt like there was more this time around.
Like they were just trying to cram it in and make it nothing but music. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, there were still, there were songs that still resonated with me. There were songs that I still absolutely loved. But I don't think that there were as many that really got stuck in my head, or that I mean, and some of them were very clever, like even the very opening song to recap.
Oh,
and
yeah,
to,
brilliant.
To catch us
Yeah,
up.
great.
That was done really well. I was not expecting the dark ending that it had.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Yeah, I didn't guess. And I thought I knew. I'd even done an ending explained and gave my theories of where I thought it was going to go. I was like, oh, I'm wrong. Cool.
Yeah. So did you, obviously you did watch it. You did review it. You did. What did you think?
I mean, everything that you said, pretty much the same thoughts and feelings. But I do think we need to talk about the horse. Not horse, but Becky Apples.
Becky Apples?
Yeah. Explain to me what Becky Apples is. Because Becky Apples murders a lot of people. And they just disappear. There's that one scene in the castle where it's just like a stealth ninja, and she just kind of pulls back and moves back into the shadow. And I'm like, holy cow! Like, what is happening?
Yeah, she might be a psychopath or a sociopath. I'm not sure which one it is, but yes, serial killer. Yeah,
I have no opposable thumbs, but how does she kill everybody like she does? Like, you just hear the soldiers screaming, or the Minotaurs or whatever. It's like, ah, and then just gone in the dark. Like, well, just send her in.
Maybe her hooves are sharpened some, and they just,
That's dark, Chris.
Yeah, well, but yeah, no, you're right. She was probably the most effective at getting rid of people.
Yeah, for sure.
Out of anybody in the show.
What a horse.
Yeah. Oh, it was fun. I mean, that's again some of the randomness that works within that, right?
Absolutely. And notice he said that she's not my horse either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and she's like, well, and she's not. That would be funny because we have no backstory.
Yeah,
we have no. I mean, she's just a contained little character that's there and is in full assassin mode, and that's and she really likes apples.
I tell you what I really liked as a mechanic that I don't think I've seen done before is horses' magical power that manifests as her being able to see backstories. So she runs and jumps into a character. And I was like, that's such a clever way of making it relevant to the story, moving the story forward, but also having her power as a thing, a MacGuffin, a thing that moves the story forward. So we get to see pretty much our main protagonist's backstories. Even the Nowhere King, that whole thing was brilliantly done and well executed from beginning, because we had already seen her working her way up to, when she starts getting magical powers in season 1, and then in season 2 she's like, I don't belong anywhere. Those first few episodes, Horse was like, you guys are doing this without me, and then she gets this ability. But I do think we were robbed. Someone in my comments was saying this as well for this for my review of it, that we never got to see a certain character's backstory, and I think the zebra giraffe, like, it's like, do me, and we never we never get to see. I was like, I want to know, because that is a crazy character. We've seen all the other crazy characters, why not that one? They just like, nope, we don't need it. It's like, seriously, come on.
Well, I wonder if it's because everybody else was an unwilling participant.
Yeah, exactly. Probably. There's like a bit of rebelliousness there, isn't there? I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, which that could take you down a whole different type of dark path if you really wanted to examine that.
Oh, I know. I thought they were gonna go there because they're not afraid to talk about things that are dark, and the fact that she was forcing herself into their minds, that is technically assault. How deep assault is that? I don't know. That's pretty intense. Your most darkest thoughts and memories before someone else can see without. That's like X-Men Legion dark. Like, oh, okay, yeah, you're a villain. Well done, horse.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not okay. Exactly. Learn boundaries.
Yeah, and there was no way to block her.
No,
that was the other thing.
What do you do?
Run away the other way. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I had fun. Ultimately, at the end, I still really enjoyed it. I got my comfortable Doug, which I'm thrilled by.
Yeah, he was great. He just kept popping up.
Flat Dallas
everywhere.
it was so funny. My wife, not totally into the show. She's there while I'm watching, and she'll look up every now and then. And in that final, it must have been the final episode where we get Flat Dallas, and she'd been working and doing some other things, and she looks up to watch Flat Dallas being helicoptered away by mini Flat Dallases spinning around his nipples. And she's like, what in the world is going on? I was like, well, it makes total sense if you had been watching, but I can understand that if you look up at this point, that is what in the world. So,
do you realize that the Comfortable Doug species, Moltars, they're technically more powerful than any other character there, because to travel between the two worlds, you need that triangle and that doorway. But Comfortable Doug can go wherever he likes. There's that one moment where he basically they're inside a building, there's a structure, and he comes out with a metal beam.
Upside down,
too, upside
right?
down. Yeah. And I'm like, what? So you can cross any boundaries through time and space and metal structures. So what happens when you dig? Where do you go?
Yeah, it would be fun to follow him.
Yeah, just go for the ride, see what's happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, did you know that Flula Borg voices Comfortable Doug?
No. Who's Flula Borg?
Javelin in the Suicide Squad.
What? Oh wait, no, that totally makes sense now. I see it.
Right?
I see it.
I looked it up on IMDb just because I was looking through the voice cast just to see who everybody was again. And I was like, I know that name. Why do I know that name? And I clicked it. I was like, oh my gosh.
I love him on YouTube, actually. He does lots of stuff on YouTube. He's great.
Does he really?
Yeah, really fun.
I'll have to check him out. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, Comfortable Doug. Like, the characters, I don't know how far you want to dissect it, because eventually you'll just come to a place of, what?
Yeah. We'll leave him with the mystery.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the weirdness.
Why not?
Oh, right on. Well, what's at the top of your list?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. The King's Man. So obviously we went, we got an early screening of this. It was public early screening. It's a weird thing. I guess they're trying to get ahead of the schedule of the big two films, The Matrix and Spider-Man. So they're trying to get public people to talk to everybody else to make sure that they get some seats and bums, and make it not a flop.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting one for me. I've seen a lot of people who have seen it already on Twitter and saying that it's the best movie ever, the best in the franchise, and
really?
it's incredible. I don't think it is. I think outside of the franchise, it's an excellent film. If it wasn't part of the franchise, I think it'd be great and really, really fun. It's much, much darker than the first two. And I mean in tone. What they've lost is the buoyancy, the fun of it. Oh. If you've watched any of the trailers, you'll see that there's none of that banter that they have. This is really about how the King's Men became the King's Men. And so it starts off, it's centered in World War I, and it's all about how each country is maneuvered into place by these bad guys. And it has really villains that are basically like Inspector Gadget villains. Like, there's literally a guy with a monocle. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. But you see, so it has these guys around the table and they're all smacking the desk, and you're thinking, okay, this is comical. But then it goes way dark again. And there's a shock value moment where I wasn't really expecting something to happen in the film. And I was like, okay, but it didn't actually feel necessary. It felt like, I'm shocking you because I'm shocking you, and people are going to talk about this shock value moment, and you're not going to see it coming. And I was like, it didn't need to happen. There was a lot darker stuff happening anyway. I don't think you needed. Sometimes you stuff happens to characters because it moves along the plot, or you want something to happen. There's just something about it that made me go, yeah, I can see the technical expertise, and the director is incredible. The cast are amazing. There is the actor who plays flipping heck, what's his face from Notting Hill,
Rhys Evans.
Rhys Evans. He is the scene stealer. Like for me, he's the best in it. He plays Rasputin, and his action scene for me is the best in the whole film. It's incredible, and that reminded me of the original Kingsman. I really wanted the whole film to be like that, fast, punchy, fun, lots of banter. It's not that at all. It has some action scenes. There's actually a half a film before you get to the action that is all about family. It's very much centered on the family. So I think people that go into it expecting one film, some might come out going, yeah, that was not the film I was expecting. Because if you've seen The King's Man, and then you've seen The Kingsman 2, you'll know that Kingsman 2 is the weaker of the two films and is much sillier than the first one. There's stuff there with a flying kick with a certain voice that I just thought, what is happening in this film? Okay, fine. Let you do what you're going to do. This is nowhere in that... Excuse me. This is nowhere in that genre at all. So it's like a different genre. Still great executed fighting sequences like you'd expect. Big climactic moments. They're fewer than the original films, I think. A lot more dialogue than I was expecting. I think my wife was way more invested than I was. Because that was my big issue with it. Having so much time spent on family and characters, you really should feel invested. So by the time I got to the end, I was like, okay, cool. I just wasn't emotionally engaged. I thought it was executed really well. I thought it was a good looking film. And every scene you could see, yeah, this is, what's the director's name? I was going to say Vince Vaughn.
Matthew Vaughn.
Matthew Vaughn. Matthew Vaughn is very good at directing actors at how to play a character. And I know that he gives them the space to be able to do various different takes so that he can get as much as he wants from them. So that was all great, but I still wasn't engaged. It's like, this is all smooth. There's some suaveness to it like you expect with... So on one hand, I'm like, yeah, this is a great film. On the other hand, I'm like, it's not what I personally expected from a Kingsman film.
Well, and go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm done.
From the marketing, I mean, it's interesting that you say that there's such little action. I mean, that I think could lead audiences to be very disappointed because the marketing behind it, the trailers, look very much more action oriented. Yeah,
so there's one bit in the trailer where you see one main protagonist fighting a woman. That's literally about 10 seconds, and then there's more dialogue. So they show it in the clip, but that action sequence lasts 10 seconds and it's done. And you're like, So they've in the trailer, it's literally all the best action moments that you've seen. So I'm very confused with the people that have watched it and gone, this is so action heavy. It's like, it's not though. You have action moments. There is an incredible sequence. Like, he's so creative when you get to the action sequences in No Man's Land, which is like all done in silence. And hand-to-hand combat because they don't want to let each other know that they're there. And it's beautifully done, and it's so tense. It's like, this is what I want. The Rasputin scene, this No Man's Land scene, and every time they get to it, apart from the ending action sequence, it feels like it comes and goes very quickly, and then we're back into quite heavy dialogue, which is not what I wanted. And, all the actors on screen are incredible. I really, really missed the banter, though. So where it's the best thing I watched, again, it would be if this wasn't part of the Kingsman franchise, I would go, yeah, this is great. So maybe it does work as an Origins because it's before what the Kingsman did. So if you put it aside and go, yeah, okay, this is the Origins, this is how they got started. The thing is, at the end, it leaves you thinking that they're going to do another Origins film before
we catch up to the...
So, and I wouldn't mind seeing that. I think it could be fun if they bring back the fun, because the action is fun, but it just feels dark. Just the whole idea of it's being set in World War I as well. It's that alone conjures up. It's very hard to make a film bantery, and in that time, they also have a lot of. It's trying to self-reflect. So a lot of the characters are reflecting of the time that they're in. Everybody's talking about the war. So I don't know how you would even start to bring about the banter, because you can't really. The World War was devastating to most countries in the world. And so when you take the serious route, there's not a lot left for you to play with.
Yeah. Well, and for it not to be disrespectful or...
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
It's one of the things Kirsten said to me, because she watched it with me. It was she wished that the origins wasn't set in World War One. She could see why they did it, because basically they're saying that all these bad guys controlled the stuff to orchestrate stuff that happened in the war and bring people together, like historically, and that's fun to think of it that way. But then that does kind of hog tie you to have it there. Yeah. So I don't know. I think once again I might differ to a lot of people's thinking on these films. I think I like weird too much. I'm too much in the weird zone.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, I think it's important to as a distinction to know that, you know what, if you go in fully expecting what we've seen from the first two Kingsman movies, then the tone, everything about it is different. And so that really could, that could set you up for disappointment, or at least, I don't know. It wasn't, I mean,
in no way is it a bad film. It isn't. It's a good film. Yeah. But it's not what I expected. Yeah.
Sure. And that's what I think is probably the thing that really needs to be put out there, is yes, this resides within the universe of Kingsman, and it does point to where they go, but this is outside of that, and this is a different feel. This is a different way to tell the story, and that way you go in with a different expectation for it. I think so.
Yeah, so that's my ramble over. So as much as I ranted about the negativity of it, I still enjoyed it. One of my favorite actors is in it, Dijon, who's in. I always find it very hard to pronounce his name. Do you know how to pronounce his name?
Jimon Hunsu.
Jimon Hunsu. That's probably more accurate. Jimon Hunsu. Yeah, he's incredible in anything. Literally, the man can read a phone book, and I'll be like, "Yeah, this is great.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a wrap on phone book."
Good print.
Yeah.
Good. Yes. Oh, right on. All right.
So what's next on your list?
A little bit older for me, and because we are in December, I can talk now freely about Christmas movies.
Yes, you can.
We last week, I think. I mentioned I had watched this movie called Silent Night, which was a dark, very dark comedy. Yeah. And you had brought up a really good point about some of the things that people don't necessarily want dark, but horror is okay when it comes to Christmas time, because it's a different feel to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is not the first time I've seen it, but it's called Better Watch Out. Have you seen this?
I don't think I've seen this.
It is, so you have basically this teenage boy, his best friend are at their house. The parents are going away for a Christmas party, something like that. And so the babysitter comes over. So the setup almost feels like Netflix is the babysitter in a little bit of that. But what happens is it's reversed. Our main character is not as pure and as innocent as he makes himself out to be at the beginning. And this goes into just a full-on demented and very dark story. It is bloody. It is
fun.
Very violent. It actually really is. I mean, it's great. You have a little bit of some of the Home Alone moments where you have just some little traps here and there set up, different things like that. I mean, there's some misdirection. There's a good amount of tension to it. And so it's not one that you would break out, I think, all the time, but it's great for a Christmas watch, especially if you're in the mood for something not bright and cheery.
That is my current mood. I'm putting it on my list now.
There you go. Well, and what's funny, maybe, I think more so than anything, is the babysitter and the best friend play brother and sister in M. Night Shyamalan's The Visit, which came out, I think, that same year.
Oh, what the hell? That's weird.
Yeah, so it's very weird if you watch one and then go to the other one because you're like, wait, what?
That would mess with you.
Yeah. And I think Better Watch Out came out a little later because Ed Oxenbould, the blonde-haired kid who plays the best friend in Better Watch Out, he feels older.
Right.
And just by a little bit. I mean, not considerably, but just a little bit older. So anyway, that's all why I say that. But it's a good thriller with some really good horror elements. It's it's messed up. It has some comedy in there. It's not flawless by any means. But I think there are some really clever moments to it, and so it
reminds me of Netflix's The Babysitter. Is it anything like that?
A little bit of it has that premise to it. I mean, a little bit of the feel to it. It's a different movie, though.
Okay.
I mean, it is, and The Babysitter takes one direction.
Yeah.
And this movie takes a different one.
Okay. Cool.
Well, but you still have that setup of this kid who really feels like he's too old to be babysat, and he probably is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so there's that tension and there's the attraction for the teenage boy to his babysitter. So it shares some of that. But after that, they take different paths in their horror elements. But yeah, so it's definitely worth a watch if you've never seen it. If you're not into Christmas horror movies, then this is not one to be there. But it's something that we enjoy, and so we decided, you know what, a little darker. That'll be fun. It'll be good. So
nice. I'm definitely going to check that on my list. And I like those kind of ones that you can add to your Christmas list that are a little bit horror, but Christmas. They're fun to add on. It kind of bring out during, you have those ones during Halloween, have them Christmas, Gremlins, Nightmare Before Christmas, all of those kind of ones that you just like to add. Sometimes you find ones that are a little bit darker. I feel like this is going to go in my stocking of darker Christmas movies. Great.
Yes. Well, I hope you enjoy it.
I will. I'll let you know when it's rubbish. I'll be like, Chris, what have you done, Chris? So on my next thing, The Witcher season 2. Obviously, I had to talk about that. Yeah. Sorry,
I'm
Chris.
Jealous. Yeah, I know. I don't even get screeners until this coming week. So
yeah, talking about screeners, I was arguing with someone on the YouTubes recently about me getting access for screeners. He doesn't believe that I get screeners at all, and I realized halfway into the conversation, like, why am I arguing? I can just delete and block. And so I took great gleeful joy of deleting and blocking. If you're that person, I'm sorry you didn't believe me, but what do you want from me?
That's a weird. Just as an aside, I mean, yes, we get access to screeners. Not everybody has the same access.
No, we're often having different access to screeners, which is bonkers itself. But I guess we're on a different side of the pond.
Yeah, and I think for us that makes sense. But even like when I think about some of my counterparts here in the U.S., they get different access. Whether it's channel size, they have different contacts than we do.
Yep.
I mean, it's different relationships, but
different PR companies. It's such a big world when it comes to that sort of thing.
Exactly. And, I mean, and it's crazy too, like, screeners come in so many different forms, so that we, sometimes it's like in Netflix, it's there in our queue so we can just watch it. And then other ones you have to go to a special site. And sometimes they're timed releases, which has happened to me more often than not. And I hate those because it's like, well, you have to watch it within this time period. I don't have time to watch it in that little time period that you gave me,
The best one I had recent was Hawkeye. I had a timed release. It has my name across the whole screen, has my IP number at the bottom left-hand screen, and then has print code or something on the top right-hand. And basically, they sent it to me 40 minutes before the episode aired. So by the time I watched it, the episode is out. I would still need to record it, or I could just watch it in a clear screen and wait 40 minutes and then do a review for it. The bonkers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, Witcher screeners, I've seen 6 of the 8, so I haven't seen the whole lot. They're an hour long, so they haven't skimped.
Oh.
They also don't pick up immediately from where season 1 left off, which is also great. Some stuff has happened. There's been some battle. Geralt looks a bit battle-worn. He's had some time with Ciri already, so they know each other a little bit, but it's still very much the whole series really feels like a setup for future seasons. And so I'm at the point, it feels like Empire Strikes Back. That's what it felt like to me. So when we've seen season 3, I think people will look back and go, season 2 is amazing. But at how I stand right now, I think season 1 is better for storytelling, which is weird because of the non-chronological, which season 2 is now chronological. Having said that, I think Geralt or Henry Cavill, I was literally going to say Geralt sees himself as Geralt. I see Henry Cavill now as Geralt when he's acting, where in season 1, I sometimes still saw him as Henry Cavill. This time he's really he is totally Geralt of Rivia. He is the Witcher. The thing I wasn't expecting to be so good and took me a little bit back, where I've read some of the books, I played the games multiple times. There is this camaraderie between the witches at Kaer Morhen, which is the Witcher home, and you spend quite a few episodes there. In amongst, there's other storylines going around, but they really played a big part, or they delved deep into the family unit of the witches that are there. So you get to see them bicker and argue what's right, what's not right, how do we train, who do we bring in. But it's just like, imagine a family of warriors that have grown up with each other and spend every day. They literally shine a light on that, which is excellent, because I know for fans, they all want to see Kaer Morhen. That is like a big plot point. It's one of the best places that it described in the book as well as the games. You spend a lot of time there, and it looks incredible. So there's one quiver in their cap. It's like, yeah, great. Henry Cavill's is Witcher. We get to another quiver is like the family of the witches, and then obviously the magics of the witches that are able to do their various signs. You get to see a lot more of that this time around. So where we was like very sporadic in the first season, occasionally this time he uses it in battle a lot, and it's it just naturally flows. It's so cool the way they do it as well. Very, very, very fun, atmospheric. The monster creatures designs, oh my gosh, if you thought they were great in season 1, so it's so funny because I equate it to like if you ever seen a movie where they fight all the minions. It's like a video game movie almost. They fight the minions and they've beaten it, and then you get the boss level. Some of that feels like what happens in this, and so like you're about to fight the boss level, but then the boss gets eaten by another boss, and you're like, I was ready for that boss, but I wasn't ready for that one. That's kind of the stuff that you get in here, and I was just like, oh, I didn't see that coming. That's amazing. This is where they're going with the stories. So cool. So where I felt the story was probably better in season 1, I think the world building that they're doing in season 2 is the setup for seasons 3 to 7. And there was also some talk that everybody was worried that Henry wasn't going to come back for season 3 because he had injured his leg. And there was some talk about Matt Bomer taking his position. And I was like, Henry would never do that, because if you hear him talk just 1 minute about The Witcher, you will see how in love he is with the characters. Yeah. And he's completely read the books multiple times, played all the games, built himself the best PC so he could play the games. And then he is the person on set that is correcting everybody about the lore. That's how well he knows the character. There's no ways he's giving up that. So I know he is coming back for season 3, and I think like it would be worth Netflix and the show creator to work around Henry's schedule. Like film everything else that you can without him, and let him go and do the other films that he probably will do, because he's a AAA star. But I guarantee you he will probably try and make his way so that he could be a part of that. Yeah. He feels much bulkier as well when you see him. He's got this armor that I don't know if he's trained more, because his training is, like, for Superman alone was crazy. So this time around, it's just much bulkier, but also has this like really fluid movement. So somehow there's a nice mix there.
Ooh.
There wasn't a catchy song. Like
Really?
there was a couple of singing moments, but there wasn't as good as Tasha Coin to The Witcher, which I was disappointed with. The Bard is around, obviously.
Okay.
Love the Bard. Yennefer is a big part of the storyline as well. We follow her. Yen.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
I think. Yes. I don't think that's a spoiler. Is it a spoiler? I don't think so.
I don't know.
Main protagonist. Yennefer, Geralt of Rivia, Ciri. That's pretty much where the story follows. And then we get some interesting politics about the elves, which has always been a contention in that world. Like they're kind of seen as lesser than. And so there's that whole thing going on with kings, which is interesting. So I don't think they're going to be able to wrap up the series in the last 2 episodes, which means it's totally setting up everything for the future. So I'll be interested to, once you've seen it, I think we should talk about it again, maybe with spoilers once it's out. And then we can just go to town on our favorite moments and where we think it's going. Because it's such a big world. It's one of the biggest IPs that Netflix had. Definitely worth watching. Like, I think if you're even mildly invested, you'd be there, because season 1 is pretty good, right?
Season 1 was really good. Yeah, I mean, especially after it took me a while to figure out the timeline and that storytelling. But once I did, I mean, it wasn't like I wasn't invested in it. I was just trying to figure out, where are we in the, in things going on. But it was, I like it. I mean, and this sounds great. And didn't we get a little bit of the Witcher home and some of just them together in Nightmare of the Wolf?
Yes.
Right? I mean,
exactly.
That's obviously prequel.
Yeah.
But, we get a little bit of that. And so that's cool to hear that we get much more of that. And so we get to see into their world that way. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, the monsters, I liked the monsters that we got in the, in the first season. And I'm really excited to hear that we get to see, Geralt use his magic more, because that was one of the things that were kind of mysterious to me in the first season. And I'm trying to remember back to it, because, sometimes we would watch him. He drinks a potion, right? Yeah. Isn't that what he does? And then he gets all
so
dark.
There's a big part of the story about how witches come to be. Which helps explain for people that haven't read the books or played the games. You kind of understand much more why they are, basically. Yeah.
Well, and to be able to see them change and do that, I think that's really cool, because we would see him, if I remember correctly, like in season 1, we'd see him drink it, and then he would just kind of turn and then go after the monster. Yeah. And there wasn't a lot of, for somebody who has no idea about this world, it's just like, well, what did that really do? And what is that doing to you? I'm still along for the ride, but to get more of that, just more in depth as we go along within this, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. I would highly recommend either watching the last episode of season 1 or watching Netflix's 15-minute recap. It's The Witcher in 15 minutes that they've done. Just to kind of remind yourself of where the characters are, what's happened. You might remember the last few seconds, but there is some stuff that they kind of draw from that has happened in season 1. Relationships and positions of those relationships, which will help, because it has been a while because of COVID and injury. It's been longer than they intended. They wanted to have it out much sooner. So, yeah. Nice. So what's next on your list?
Cool. Well, I have another older one.
Okay.
And it is another Christmas movie.
Hey.
But I think it should be on everybody's list. And I'm so upset that I didn't talk about it or bring it up when we had John from the Composer series on.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because, The Holiday with Cameron Diaz.
How did you not bring that one up? The whole thing is a score.
Exactly. No, I know. How did I not? Because it's...
I mean, to be fair, I didn't either. So.
Yeah. It's just, this is one of those, I mean, this is absolutely an every year watch for us. I love, I'm not a big Cameron Diaz fan, But in this, I enjoy her.
Yeah.
I think Jude Law is amazing. Kate Winslet is always.
There is something
always
magical
wonderful.
about this film. It just captures the heart of relationship and the need for relationship so well. I think Jack Black for me, my gosh, like
So good.
seriously, do more drama, Jack, because he was excellent.
Yeah, he was, because he still gets to be funny
Mm,
and he gets to be a little awkward and weird,
yeah,
but he doesn't have to be that all out comedy, because he still elicits laughs from me. And he still, I mean, I get very pulled into his character
yeah,
because of how downplayed he is.
Yeah.
He becomes a regular guy
Yeah,
who
exactly.
happens to be funny.
you can relate to him absolutely. He's almost the underdog in that storyline.
Yeah.
You were rooting for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the fish out of water thing where because they swapping houses. Yeah. You have this like this cottage is weird. I'm not sure I like it. Oh, snow, and then she's like totally in love with it, but it takes her some time, and then vice versa. She's like, "You live in a mansion." It's such
Yes,
a
eyes
contrast.
just wide open from the.
The curtains, on electric, yeah, and then it's like I want that. That's amazing.
Yes.
So good.
Yes.
One of my favorite story arcs. I kind of taken over your
No, go for it.
story arcs in that film is the old guy who is
Yes.
gold. Like his knowledge and what he's done and been around, and he's scripting, and he's just walking across, and she just takes like she loves him as this guy, has no idea who he is.
Mhm.
But where that storyline ends up going, I'm just like, oh man, my heart grew 2 sizes.
Well, and the fact that then you get to play in how it develops her and Jack Black's relationship
Yeah.
within this other one, as just as a friendship that happens, and a friendship that happens, and then a relationship, and then, I mean, Jack Black scoring, just making him a theme song,
It's so
that he
good.
can walk up, to give him that
Yeah.
that confidence, so that he feels stronger, that he knows that, yes, I can do this. I've been working towards this, and I can do it.
I love yeah.
And then
Yeah.
then he sneaks in that little bit of like how, well, I wrote this is your song, this is your theme, and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then the blockbuster scene where they're going in, I mean, and he's Jack Black and Kate Winslet are, they're basically just looking at all these movies and talking about the scores, dun dun, 2 notes,
Yeah.
and you have a villain.
Yeah. That whole conversation is people who love scores. That's what your conversation would be. You wouldn't help. I imagine that's what John is like in Blockbuster, right?
Exactly. Well, and the little cameo with Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, so
where
good. Amazing.
I can't go anywhere. It's like that was perfectly placed, because it's out of the blue. You don't expect it. And yet it feels very natural also because of where they're at and their location.
Mm.
And so just, the whole thing. I mean, it's very predictable.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I love every moment of it. I need it to be predictable. I want it to, to watch our characters go through these arcs.
Mm.
And, you have the little surprises here, the semi heartbreak, which then leads them into the realization of, this is who I really do love. And,
Yeah.
that's so much fun.
So good. Great choice. Yeah, that's definitely on my list. That and Love Actually, I think, are the ones like I like to rotate. That I'll become like a puddle at the end of a film. Yeah, like, it's dusty. We need to do some house cleaning. Why haven't you cleaned this room, woman? And then she'll say, "What? What did you say?" Yeah.
I saw a meme that was like, if you watch Love Actually and then Die Hard, Alan Rickman gets punished for what he does.
He's just deserved.
To him. Yes.
That is very
I was
clever.
like,
I like that a lot.
There you go. Yeah.
That's so good.
Goodness. Yeah, that's another yearly watch for us too. Is Love Actually. Yeah.
So good.
Totally love it.
Okay, so next on my list is a bittersweet one because this is the ending of a series. It's the 6th season of The Expanse. And The Expanse is this sci-fi extravaganza, more realistic look at how humans, if we had the technology, how things would actually be in space, and then put in the most complicated story that you'd really need to have followed from season 1 or have read the books. But the fans have been, for the most part, I think, really impressed what they've done with the series. It really grew from strength to strength, and we had the first couple of seasons, and then it got cancelled. But then Amazon picked it up, or it might have been season 3, but Amazon along the line picked it up somewhere, and now they're finishing on the 6th season with 6 episodes. There is 1 episode a week, so they're releasing it weekly, which I think is a mistake, because I haven't seen all 6. I know that the first episode really just is reminding everybody kind of what had happened at the end of season 5, leaving us in the cliffhanger. We have these different factions. Have you ever watched any of The Expanse?
I have not. A friend of mine told me at the very beginning, dude, you need to watch this.
You really, really do. Yeah, it's incredible. It's up there with Firefly and Battlestar Galactica, things that you can easily rewatch and be as entertained like from the first time. It's so intricate and so nuanced, but brilliantly put together. Like, talk about being able to build a universe. 3 factions. There's the Mars people. There are the Belters that are born in space, people that are born in space. We have Earthers, and basically, as humans do, we end up fighting. And then there is this thing called the proto-molecule that is alien in nature or created. I'd have to go back and check. Anyway, there's this thing called the proto-molecule that is very invasive species and is taken over and is dangerous. And so you have like alien technology in amongst political people wanting to... The Belters want... Oh man, it's like... I'm trying to think of a really good analogy of how to explain what's going on. If you've ever played the board game, the one where you got to take over countries... Risk. It feels like that for me. Like, people are trying to, who's going to get the most resources, and you're always trying to play that political stuff without blowing each other up. But eventually stuff comes to a head and there's war, and that is like really skimming the surface of what has happened in like the first 5 seasons. So anyway, we have 6 episodes. They're an hour long. The second episode is really where the action and the story kicks into high gear. And then by the time you hit the 6th one, you know it's coming to an end, but it finishes it off on a really good way. Like, it's very rare for a series to finish well. However, saying that, it does feel a bit rushed. There are certain storylines that they don't finish, that they start. It feels like they just start in this season, that they just never come to. So you're left with thinking, okay, well, maybe we're just imagining that that's just going to be a thing that's happening in the universe, and we have to imagine that they deal with that. They do wrap it up really nice, and it does feel bittersweet, and the characters all go to places, whoever's left alive, I can't say, doing things that are believable. It's one of the best shows for characters that stay the course and grow, so that they don't change from one episode to the next. They're written in a way that you think they would progress. Some of the best characters, sci-fi space characters that you love to hate as well, like those enemies that you're just like, you're evil to the core. And then you have costume design. There is the cigar smoking lady. Her voice is so deep. Whenever she's on screen, you love her. She's incredible. She plays a big part with Earth. But her costumes, whoever designs her costumes, they're crazy. They're massive headgear, big lavish like dresses, very vibrant, very much to her personality. And then you have the designs of the spaceships. It's just such an adventure. If you've seen Battlestar Galactica, you kind of understand how they do space fighting. It's all very, well, it's more believable than you would get like in Star Trek or, Firefly, any of those. But the characters is where it's at. And yeah, this was it. I was surprised because you always hold your breath when a series is coming to an end, because you don't know that they're going to do it well. You hope that they are. I'm happy for fans to say that, yeah, it has ended up well. I do think they should have dropped all 6 together. I do understand that you want to keep eyeballs on it, and Amazon is like now the guys that bought it, so they kind of own it. But for fans, I think this is, especially so short compared to what it is normally, I think you should have maybe done half and half at least. Done the 3 and 3. You could have done that. Celebrated for the fans rather than it being about bringing eyeballs back to your platform. because that first episode, people were like, "Oh, I hope it's not like this all the way through. You're gonna like lose some interest." And then you get to episode 2 and you're just like, "Oh, this is good again." And then 3 and you're like, "Oh, okay, I see. It's all building up to this alien ring and traveling worlds and big battle coming to the end, and you're holding your breath." That last episode 6, literally held my breath the whole way through. You know, going,
wow.
Or when you inadvertently make a sound without meaning to, you know, something happens to a character, like, ah! Yeah, it's that sort of thing. Fantastic series, highly recommended. This is one you can start if you've been wondering. You're one of those people like, series get cancelled all the time. I don't want to get invested. Well, here you have a contained story, 6 season, done on Amazon. You can watch all Amazon Prime Video. You can watch all 6 seasons. You won't find a better sci-fi series, I think.
Nice.
There you go. I've ranted and loved on it.
Well, how many episodes are typically in the first 5 seasons? Is it like 10 or 12?
Yeah, it's normally 10. Yeah.
Okay.
It's normally 10, about hour-long episodes, or 45 minutes. Nice. Yeah, you can get through them fairly easily. Like, once you start, you're like, "Ooh, this is
hard not to want to binge them."
Yeah, I think the first season will take you a while because there's a lot of world. The universe is massive. The culture, the mannerisms, the things they say, the way they speak. Like the Belters have an almost African Jamaican dialect, and so it's like a mix of something that you've never heard. So it takes a while for your ears to adjust. The costumes, the design, the people, what they do. It's almost like very cyberpunk Blade Runner-ish in the Belters areas. But then you have the very prim and proper politics people of Earth, and you have the Martians who are like warriors, like you do not want to mess with them. Yeah, and so you have all these things that play within each other that you just it's adventure in space. It's great.
Nice. Nice. Well, yeah, I'll definitely need to check that out. It has been on my list. I mean, it truly has. And
yeah, when you find the time to watch 6 seasons.
Yeah.
You could time off over Christmas.
It's been done before. Yeah. No. Oh goodness! Well, not that doesn't have any watching in it. Yes, I have that. I just won't sleep. That's
Chris is tired.
Oh goodness, no, that sounds like fun. I've like I had said, my friend had recommended to me years ago. And was constantly bugging me about it. He's like, "Dude, you need to watch this. Have you not watched it? How have you not watched this?" I'm like, I know. And it gets to that point, though, where you're so far behind that it makes it really hard to catch up.
Yeah.
And so now, though, now that I know it's there, I can slowly go through it, which I think that there's a little bit of comfort there.
Yeah.
Because some of these older series, like I'm going through very, very slowly. Dexter.
Nice. Have you never seen it before?
Never seen it before.
Okay.
So, just so if I watch one episode here and it goes 3 weeks and I watch another episode, I don't feel guilty about it. No big deal. I just, so that there's that comfort within that. And I think the Expanse now can be that I can, because it is, start and end. Cool. I know they're not going to add
Dexter have the best opening theme tune? Boop, 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 boop. Boom, 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 boom. Does it make you feel awkward?
Yes and no. I mean, Netflix has ruined me with the whole skip intro.
Oh no!
Because I don't mind seeing the intro the first time.
Yeah.
But did you know? Because now I've been fast forwarding through it and on Dexter, with the opening title sequence and then the recap from the last episode, you were at about 3.5 minutes.
Oh no, I didn't. Yeah. Wow.
That is way too long.
It is.
I'm sorry. I have become, the Netflix generation where I want it, just skip the intro. I don't need to hear this theme song because, and I watched it actually a couple of times, or listened to the intro and the theme song a few times.
Yeah.
And now I don't need it, especially if you're watching more than one episode. That's
true.
too much. So,
well, don't watch One Piece, the anime, because that's after they've done the intro after season 1. It's 6.5 minutes. Considering it's a 16-minute episode, you get 11 minutes of anime between each week.
That is ridiculous.
It's bad. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Well, that one is like they're never going to finish, right? Because he's not even, or is the dude finished, or is this the one that the dude died?
Dexter?
No. One Piece.
Which dude died?
The writer of it. Did he not?
Oh, no. Cowboy Bebop. If that's the creator of Cowboy Bebop. And died. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
And many other anime. So it's possible that One Piece is included in that.
Okay. Okay. Well, so, anyway, anything else on your list?
It's not the best thing I watched, but I do want to talk about it. 2.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Come on. Okay, so the reason I like it is because I love films that deal with numbers. I just find them so fascinating. People that are obsessed with numbers. And you don't know that going in. You feel really awkward for these two people that don't know each other, that they're naked, they're stitched together. The premise is really interesting. It has some really interesting cinematographies when the lights go out and you have those rays across the face. It's like, that's beautiful. Well done. But when you start figuring out it's all about the numbers, I couldn't help myself but looking around the room all the time. Every time, like, I want to see the doubles that are all there. And, like, I'm trying to figure it out. The number 23 for me with Jim Carrey is, like, one of my favorite films of Jim Carrey's, definitely. Because it's so interesting to me. That film you can watch again and you can see the number 23 way more than they ever pointed out. I'm like, gosh. And then try not seeing the number 23 after you've watched that film. You're like, oh, no. There's been a few others like that with numbers in them. That I'm reading that book, Uzumaki, which is about, like, the spirals.
Okay, yeah.
It's like, and that obsessive nature about things that mean other things. And now I just see spirals everywhere and, like, oh my gosh, look at the plug in their hair, it's all spiral. No. So that had me interested. But I do want to say, this film, when you get to the yin yang sign and it's the two bodies, is the most pretentious ending I've seen in a long time. And it's just basically thinks it's way more clever than it is. It gets to, like, and this is 2. Ba-boom. And I was like, oh, people are going to hate this.
Yeah. See, I was fully on board with the premise. And even their banter back and forth at the beginning, where she is suspecting him of doing this, which you've got to be really sick to sew yourself to somebody, but hey, you know what? Okay, that I'm not putting that past humanity. But there's that constant, and he never answers questions.
Yeah, true.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, ooh,
maybe
there's enough doubt that's created. Exactly. There's enough doubt within this where it's like, you just didn't outright deny it. You didn't say no. You just skirted around the issue. So this, okay, you're suspect number 1, you know, and the duality of everything that you see, you know, the mirrored images, everything within the bathroom, you know, 2 toothbrushes, it was great. Then though, they rush through everything. You know, I mean, we have this beginning of a buildup, and then they just kind of get out.
I actually feel like there was a scene that was cut. I don't know if you noticed. She says, I need to lie down. I'm not feeling well. She's taking the tablet. And then immediately as they go through the door, they're suddenly rushing to looking around the room, and they don't lie down for like 20 minutes at least. So they ignore, like, what he's just said. They say, okay, we're going to lie down. And they just go through the drawers. They're, like, lock-picking. They're answering phones, you know, having sex. Yeah. Gotta say, I don't believe that for a second. You're stitched together with someone you don't know, and you end up being romantically involved with them. That's not happening.
Yeah, I get the rationale that they use because the kissing was causing some sort of
when she
reaction.
knew that, but before that, I was like,
yeah. Well, and even go back to taking the pill, he doesn't take the pill.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's one more reason.
reason you don't trust him.
Yeah, I wanted them to really sit with this for a while. You know what I mean? And then I wanted them to try and figure out. I mean, it's like the ultimate escape room. Right?
Yeah.
You know, that they're trying to get out of this.
That's what I liked about it, yeah.
Yeah, but it didn't last enough.
No, it
that
didn't.
was, I think, what I did. It like was beginning to get us to that tension moment and then takes it away.
It was only
And
77 minutes with credits.
Exactly. It was, I could have used another 20 to 25 minutes of give us more world
I'm
building.
surprised they didn't do
more
the escape room
intrigue.
thing. Because it was there. It was screaming out for it. And it doesn't embrace that.
Yeah.
But it feels like it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And then the whole the explanation that we get at the end of why it's happening, it felt very quick. I think more than anything.
Yeah, I even had people in the comments going, "Were they brother and sister?" So they literally didn't get what had happened.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah,
I mean, that for me wasn't an issue. I got it, but
I got that too.
They just rushed through it.
Yeah.
Like the whole father thing, that they spent what 30 seconds on that before they. Yeah,
maybe it was like just that brief little.
Yeah. Like surely there's a monologue or there's scenes here that you need to do.
Yeah, there's just more that could have been to make this. I mean, because it's a disturbing premise, and even the beginning of a disturbing execution.
I think that's why I rated mine higher than I probably should have. I really liked the idea of it. I really liked the number thing, the escapism. I didn't think their acting was bad either.
No, and I was when they're trying to separate.
Yeah,
I mean, we were going because we watched this late, like at midnight on Friday morning. Midnight at Friday.
Yeah,
right when it first came out, and was like, "Oh no, stop!" I mean, my wife and I both are like, "Oh,
that's
can
not
you
fun."
Not?
Yeah.
No,
with the shaky hand in the glass piece. Like,
you
need to stop.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, and the whole unknown of what else has been sewn together.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You don't know what else this.
You see the outside, but I mean, who knows? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was a bummer for me because it just had so much potential. Like I was really on board for what I think they wanted to do.
Yeah,
and just
it didn't execute properly. But then I think I would have forgiven it somewhat more, but that ending, I was just like, come on. No. And you're forming the yin-yang sign around it? What does yin-yang got to do? That's not duplicated. That's just the opposite side. The congenital twins are not opposite sides of each other. What are you saying? And it's the white snow and him in the dark room with the blood. And then 2. And I'm like, stop it.
Yeah. It's just like that. You need to just know. And you know what? It's funny. Like I don't, from a nudity standpoint, I mean, I pointed it out, like, you know what, if you don't like nudity, then this is not the movie for you, first off, because there's just a lot of it.
There's a lot. Yeah.
But something that surprised me, and it surprises me more and more as we go along, is the inequity, I think, of nudity. Like you have this woman just fully nude, wandering out into the snow, and they don't do that for the guy.
I noticed that
at all.
Yeah,
and I find that
it's weird. Is that a culture? Or is it a world culture thing for entertainment?
Maybe, I don't know. And I don't know, especially on these things where they're streaming. So there's a different set of rules, I think, from like a rating standpoint or what they can show.
Sure.
It's not like I'm trying to look for this or that I want them to show this. I just think that
you weren't looking for penis, Chris.
No, but I don't understand why they don't have.
But the rules are the same as long as the man isn't aroused. You're allowed to show penis, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
What an interesting conversation. Yeah, so it is weird that,
right? It just,
that they've chosen to show it that way. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, in years and years and years ago, that made a little bit more sense, maybe because there was already a massive inequity between genders. You know what I mean? But as we get modern, we're trying to redefine that and fix that.
Yeah.
And I just think, you know what, if you're gonna do it for one, to be an equal opportunity offender at that point, or don't do it at all. I mean, that's anyway, that's neither here nor there, and it doesn't affect the outcome of the film, and it doesn't affect my rating or my enjoyment or lack of enjoyment on the film one way or the other. It was just Yeah, it was just there. It was a feature of the storytelling, but the body, that, oof, no, that's... Mm. Okay, well, on
Good
that
times.
happy note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
that's all I've got. Great.
Cool. Well, okay. So I think what we'll do is we're going to push our news and the things that we're looking forward to into our audio only podcast section. Yes. Is that the correct wording?
Yeah.
Sure. The bonus audio. But also, we're going to be discussing two of our favorite sci-fi just weird films that are just they're so random and beautiful. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and The Fifth Element. We hope that you would, hop over, join us there on either Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, name whatever. But thank you so much for watching this, for tuning in here on YouTube with us. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday. I'm Chris with Movies and Munchies. And don't forget, coming up on Christmas Day is our special Die Hard special. Looking forward to that. Otherwise, we'll catch you next week.